What's up, everybody? It's Jeffrey Lyles. You're rocking with Lyles Movie Files. Joining me on today's show, little brother Jace. What's up with you?
What's going on, bro? It's a weekend, so feeling a little better. How's everything with you?
I'm good. Javon King, what's up with you?
Doing great, man. Another beautiful day, beautiful Saturday. We're doing this. All the listeners, thanks for joining again. And to all the listeners who happen to be veterans, thank you for your service. We greatly appreciate you. And let's get rolling, man.
All right. So we had a busy week here with the elections. Lots of fallout on that. I don't go political on the show, so we're not going to go into all of that. But it was very eventful all the same. This past week, we're starting to see a little clearer picture on some of these Oscar contenders, one of which is the Green Book. And during a Q&A, there's a little controversy because star Viggo Mortensen was talking about words that are no longer common in conversation. And he made the point and he used the N-Word. And it set Twitter, social media buzz. Viggo Mortensen, for all accounts, is not that dude, but you never know what people think in private. He's apologized tremendously and issued a statement saying that although my intention was to speak strongly against racism, I have no right to even imagine the hurt that is caused by hearing that word in any context, especially from a white man. I do not use the word in private or in public. I'm very sorry that I did use a full word last night and will not utter it again. Fellas, what do you think about this? Because his point from the movie that he's in about a 1960s Italian American working with taking a Jamaican American pianist in the Deep South in the 1960s is a lot of what those characters encountered aren't common today. So what do you all think about that? I have my thoughts, but I want to hear from you guys first. Jace, let's start with you.
Oh, well, I think that this is one of those times I need a little more context, because just somebody saying, hey, these are words you don't hear anymore, like just saying it straight up like that, it's like, yeah, that is a word that you don't hear anymore. It's like, but in that time period, that was like probably like our parents' age, they heard that all the time. Like there's like, you just knew, hey, you go to South Carolina in the wrong lunch counter, hey, you're going to hear that word. If you're going to it, and like I said, I don't know the context. It's just like, if you're making a point and you don't censor yourself just like the 2 seconds, like you say, hey, you know, words that are not said, like all the work, like the slang words you used to hear for lesbians, like now that's a word you wouldn't hear. I mean, it's just kind of, it's the same thing. And I think it's like, if you just don't censor yourself, like, oh shoot, I just said one of those words you don't say. And if you don't catch it in that moment, you might be like, oh shoot. And then somebody's like, you said it. Oh shit, I said it. And then you issue an apology, like, hey, that's not, I was really stating fact, and I wasn't trying to I was making a non-racial point, but I messed up for a second. My bad. So I mean, guy apologized for it. I take it at face value.
Javon, what's your thoughts?
I still haven't heard the interview, the conference or whatever. What was it, like a presser for the movie?
Yeah, it was like they saw the movie. So what they do sometimes is the stars will actually show up to an advanced screening and then talk to audience members in a Q&A session. What I pieced together was he was saying removing the N-word from your vocabulary doesn't necessarily disqualify a person as a racist or participating in actions or thoughts that are bigoted. So basically, just because you don't say the N-word doesn't mean that you're not racist or that you have bigoted thoughts. And I feel like from interviews that I've seen him in, he is a thoughtful person, maybe deeper than the normal actor. And you know, from that context, I don't get the racist, like, oh shoot, what are you doing saying that word?
I mean, did he just come out right and say, well, you can't say nigger anymore because, I mean, how was it? How in what context did he
I don't
use
have
it?
the.
You don't have.
They don't have a transcript of it.
From the way it sounds, from what I've read, from the way it sounds, I saw it yesterday on Yahoo, and the way it was described and the way you're describing it to me doesn't sound like it's as egregious as people are making it out to be. I mean, for what it's worth, and the thing about like with comedy, right? A lot of comedians hide behind comedy as for to get out racist thoughts, to say certain things, right? I what's is it more offensive that he says it in that context or that Louis C.K. tells a nigger joke? Is it more offensive that Quentin Tarantino litters his movies with the word nigger? Like, for example, what was the one, The Hateful Eight? Yeah, they said nigger more times in the first 20 minutes of that movie than I've used all year long. And it really had nothing to do with any racial connotations.
Right.
It's just there was one black guy there. And that, I got a bigger problem with Tarantino. I'll get to that at a later date. But I don't see the big deal in what he was saying. He used the word, but he didn't use the word at or directed at anyone in particular. He was using the word to make a point, which, okay, the word is still a word. It's still, it's not like Beetlejuice, and we can't say it 3 times. You know what I mean? It's a word. Okay. So let's fall back.
So, Chief, what's up, man?
What's going on there?
Good, man. What is your take on this? There's been a lot of outrage over it, so just kind of curious what your take on it is.
Well, if you say the N-word, you're not a racist or don't have racist thoughts. I guess if you, it's funny. With I guess the standard here is blacks were able to use it, but what would a person of a different color, what would their reason be for using the N-word? I mean, like, how does that come up in? Because I mean, I'm guilty of saying it. I say it, but I don't think I've hard-arded towards a friend, or you know what I mean, in a minute. You know what I mean? I don't know if I've ever used it in a hard R way. See, when they're saying it, they're hard R'ing it. I've never heard it used by a person of another color without the hard R. So, like, how are they saying it? I mean, how does that come up in your conversation? So I don't know how that would even be a conversation piece for another group. So if it's, I guess you can. I mean, if you're debating it, I don't know. It seems silly if maybe if you're in a debate, you and a group of friends are around just saying the N-word this, the N-word that. But I mean, how many white folks you think or whatever are around the country debating the use of the N-word in their social setting? I think that I think some words are just not for your use. You know what I mean? Whether you use them without prejudice or whatever. I mean, if you, of course, by all means, I prefer, if you're prejudiced and you're around me, I prefer you use the word. To be honest, that way that stops me from having to speak to you. You know what I mean? Like, just tell me off the bat, we don't have to have any words, rather than a fake cordial conversation between us if that's not what you want. I just prefer, hey, look, I'm not into niggers. I don't want to have a conversation. You know what? No problem, sir. You got it. And that, to me, that's it. Because you can't hurt me with the word. You know what I mean? Like, that's not, I'm not one of those guys who, oh, you said it, I'm going to kill. I'm not that guy. I don't care. You know what I mean? A lot of people may not like me. Does that hurt me? No. I don't care. I don't care who doesn't like me. It doesn't matter. So whether you use it, if you use it and I'm in the presence of it, I'm like, okay, well, that's somebody I won't be speaking to. That's as far as I really need to go with it. I don't care if you're prejudiced, to be honest with you. I mean, that's it is what it is. That's my there's no difference. Like, I've grown up with prejudiced people my whole life. So for someone to use it and around me is at this point at 43 years old, like, okay. You know what I mean? I've had fathers. I've been 10 years old, had a father tell me that I could play with his daughter, but he doesn't like. He wouldn't accept a black kid talking to his daughter, like a boyfriend type thing with his daughter. And I remember at 10 years old, I didn't even quite know what he was talking about. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I remember the conversation because it seemed so weird for this guy to have this conversation with me. And I remember the conversation, and it wasn't until I got older I was like, oh yeah, okay, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, he had that conversation with me at 10, and all I did was want to play. You know what I mean?
Right.
So at this point, like I said, that everybody's raising this controversy with the word. Listen, I prefer you use it if that's the way you feel. You know what I mean? That way, when you utter it again, I'm not even in your presence. I've walked away. I'm moving on with my life. You're stuck in that box. You know what I mean? So while you're in that box, I'm living my life. I don't go to sleep mad at white folks, mad at Asians, mad at Hispanics. I don't go to sleep, hope, praying that the black man takes over. That's not my thought process. So I just everybody live their life. If as long as you're enjoying your time here, I'm fine with it. I just, like I said, I don't really have any I don't know, like, what a context, because I mean, even when we're talking like off panel discussions, so on and so forth, like, we're not even fluent with that word. Like, it's not a conversation we're like, yeah, niggas this and niggas that. I mean, we don't, you know what I mean? To me, you when you're having a conversation about certain things, that's not even like, where would that come into play? So, like, what kind of conversation you having where that is a word of topic? Like, I don't know where you would go with that. So, like I said, I just, if you use it, you use it. I just ask you for that one time you use it, please, that one time use it around me. And then from that point on, I don't have to hear you use it because I won't be around you no more. Like, if I know, you know what I mean? Like, if people and people get mad when people use the word, but my thought was always, well, at least they told you. Because, like, you could be supporting their movies, you could be supporting their brand, you could be, like, every time a racist person is exposed and, everybody's like, oh my God. I'm like, okay, yeah. Appreciate that. That, player. Because now I don't have to fuck with you on any level. I'm not going for your shoe, yeah, I'm not, I don't have to buy your pizza. I don't have to buy your clothes. I don't have to do any of those things that you know what I'm saying, that you might have been getting my money for. Because now I'm like, okay, this is how you feel. This is how I'm going to carry that feeling. Now, the guy might say, well, I don't miss your dollars. Of course you're not going to miss my dollars. You know what I mean? But I know I'm not giving you my dollars. So, you might get an increase from white folks who, oh yeah, he's with the cause. And then they start buying into your thing. And then, I don't know if I've never been white, so I can't say if a white person finds out that another white person is racist, do they stop buying their brand? I don't know. But maybe they, maybe a couple do, whatever. But like I said, I always appreciated a person coming out, saying how they feel, and then riding on that. You know what I mean? You don't have to apologize to me. That's your feeling. That's how you feel. So, I mean, if somebody calls you an asshole, right? And that's their feeling, do they have to come out and apologize to you? No. So if you want to call me a nigger, you know what? You don't have to apologize for that either. Because now you're just letting me know, hey, let me know that here. I'm letting you know that you don't have to mess with me on any level. Like I said. So I haven't seen a Mel Gibson movie and I don't know how long. I'm not gonna go see Mel Gibson. I don't care what he does. The movie could be Blacker Than Black and it's black. That could be the title of the movie.
And I'm black.
I'm not gonna go see it. Right. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna go see it. Only because I know now that when you're in the privacy of your home, that's how you feel. You believe blacks come in packs. You know what I mean?
To rape white women.
Right.
To rape white women.
No, just his wife.
Right.
Or just his wife.
Right, just his wife.
She was Asian.
Hey guys, what are you guys doing today? I don't know. Let's get a pack and rape Mel Gibson's wife. Oh yeah, let's go. So
let's go.
We're not a group. We're not a band. We're a pack, like wolves.
Hey guys, in fairness, he only thinks like that when he drinks.
But Viggo Mortensen wasn't saying it in that context, right? He wasn't saying
not at all.
Right. Okay. All right.
Well, that's fine, and that's what I'm saying. So, but I'm just saying from my standpoint, I don't care about the word. You can use the word. You could not use the word. Like I said, I prefer you used it just that one time around me. Let me know, so I could, you know what I mean? Because like, how many people do you think you speak to every day who rather have you not speak to them? When I walk into a restaurant and my waiter doesn't like blacks, I would appreciate you just saying, hey, welcome to so-and-so. I think you're a nigga. And I can say, hey, well, I think I'm going to eat somewhere else. You know what I mean? Because that way, you're not spitting in my food.
Mm-hmm. Let's get it all on the table.
Okay.
It's all on the table.
So, bottom line, do we think Viggo Mortensen is racist because he said it in this panel?
Huh.
Javon?
No.
Okay. Jace?
I don't know.
Okay. I think it's a situation where he was trying to make an elegant point, and his use of a word upset some people. And I understand in the context of what he was saying, it made sense to go, you can't say the N-word anymore. And I just feel like he was making a point, and it upset some folks. He apologized to his co-star, Mahershala Ali, and he accepted his apology. And because he worked with the dude for all that time, so he understood where he was coming from. And he said it's just a shame that his elegant statement kind of got derailed a bit because of the use of the word.
Jeff,
what's up?
The last point on that, I like to hear the state, because the way it sounds is that he was trying to articulate something, but he used the word to articulate the point. And some people, like Chief was saying, are so triggered by the word that without using any perspectives, they just jump into, oh, and that's where we are.
Racist.
Yeah, that's where we are as a society today. Unfortunately, this is what people are now. This is what people are now. This is where we are now as a society. Unfortunately. So yeah, I mean, from what I see, wasn't nothing there. But moving on.
All right. So now there is another sort of controversial movie at the box office right now. It's the Queen biopic, Bohemian Rhapsody. And I watched the movie, reviewed it, and it was one of those weird experiences where I saw the problems that people had. And I acknowledged, wrote them in my review You can check that out at lylesmoviefiles.com. Ching. But I liked it anyway. And so what I normally do when I see a biopic, I go home, and even before or while I'm in the midst of writing that review, I look up the history of the person just to see where the film and the script deviated from the real life account of the person. And there are some drastic, very dramatic changes to the Queen story from the real version to what we see on the big screen. And I'd almost argue, without that just natural curiosity of, well, what really happened? I think most people would be fine watching that and not be so curious and enjoy it. But because there are certain things, and because I knew 2 of the 3 surviving members who were still active had a very strong say in what went on, because the music is actually licensed, so it's not some oddball songs that Queen may have sung because we can't get the actual licensed material. I get the feeling that the 2 existing members were like, hey, this is how we saw things, and they really helped steer the film a certain way. And then there was that usual, well, let's jazz this part up and let's make it more interesting Hollywood screenwriter mentality. But I like the movie. So for you guys, when you watch a film, does it, when it's based off of real life events, does it need to stick so true to the real life case for you to enjoy it? Like if there was a New Edition movie, let's say, and like a big screen movie, and they had Johnny Gill around before Bobby Brown quit, and they just changed some other stuff, just like randomly to make the story more interesting. Would that make you more upset since you kind of experienced and went through New Edition? Or would you be like, yeah, you know what, for the sake of the movie, it was cool, and they at least got to sing the songs? What's your take on that, fellas?
Listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. If a movie came out about me, right, I'd want to fly in that movie. So, you know, he not only was he a funny guy, he also had the power of flight. So if they were doing a movie about me, no, I don't mind. I mean, you got to have some type of, there's gonna be changes. I remember watching Notorious, and so he's in LA. He's in LA, right? And he's on the phone with Kim, like, yeah, you know, we need to squash this. We need to figure out what we're doing when I get back. You know, he's calling Faith. He's like, yeah, Faith, you know. And I'm like, come on. You know, he didn't make those phone calls that night, and everything got wrapped up in a neat little bow before he died. That's not how it goes. But when you're doing something of someone, right, you've got to Hollywood it up. It's got to be almost, when a person dies, the character dies almost without sin. You know what I mean? Like he's rectified his sin, he's gone, and he spoke to the preacher before he died. Because, you know, I mean, you know, as much as I like Notorious, like he's my favorite rapper of all time. You know what I mean? But I know he didn't wrap up his life in a neat little bow the night before he died, or the night that he died. That's
in a neat little bow.
Absolutely not. Right.
Yeah, that's Hollywood. That's Hollywood.
Absolutely not. That's Hollywood. So you gotta have some truth, and you've got to have some different stories in there too. So you know, because and also it made Puffy seem like Puffy was this great dude. You know what I mean? But you know, Puffy, man, you know, Puffy was robbing them, man. You know what's funny about that, Chief? As soon as that movie was over, I was like, yeah, who's the executive producer? Yeah.
Who's the executive producer? Yeah, Sean Combs. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I gave him and Craig Mack a check for $5 million.
Very fair.
I don't think you did. I don't think you did.
Actually, remember Biggie threatened him behind his money? Remember that?
Well, and this is the thing. That's why Biggie did the double album, so he could get out of Bad Boy.
Because he
was on for a 3-album deal. He did the double album because he could have put out just 2 more albums or whatever. But he did the double album to get out of Bad Boys. It fulfilled his contract, his album requirement. That's why people dropped those double albums to get out of their contracts a lot of times. So he put the double album out there, and then of course he met his demise. But this is the thing. You saw Puff. He was like, man, Puff loved them dudes. He was taking care of them. So yeah, they got to put some sauce on it. You know what I mean? They can't just let that thing linger how it is. That's just, I mean, I didn't see this new Queen movie, but I'm sure salt and pepper were added to the ingredients. You know what I mean?
There was salt and pepper, paprika, some oregano,
some coriander.
Dude, they changed up so much that I was writing my review and I was watching a Queen documentary on YouTube because I was like, oh my gosh, they've changed so much stuff. But it was
which one, the BBC?
No, man, the real movie. I mean, the
BBC
one in the theaters right now. No, the BBC.
No, the BBC documentary that you watched on YouTube, Jeff.
Oh no, that was that was telling the story. It was there was no changing up of anything. It was just real accounts from people. But man, that movie.
The BBC doc is the same. It's basically real accounts from Brian May, from people who worked with Queen, their producers, people from EMI, the label, and all that.
Right.
Freddie Mercury is one of my. I love Freddie Mercury. I think he's one of the greatest performers of our generation, of this or any generation. But
I'm going to tell you something really funny.
All right.
Now, don't judge me, okay? Now, before I went into this movie, because Queen's heyday was kind of arguably right before I started paying attention to music, so I kind of knew their songs, but I didn't necessarily know that was Queen. Like for me, Queen was the band that did the Flash Gordon soundtrack. Like that's where I associate Queen. And then We Will Rock You and Another One Bites the Dust. And Another One Bites the Dust because that was Junkyard Dog's theme song before they changed it to Grab Them Cakes. But that was Queen. And then I'm watching the movie and I'm like, oh, I know that song too. Oh, that's them?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Don't feel bad about that. I mean, for what it's worth, I love music, so I know a little bit about it a lot. So, but for me...
To back what you were saying, I've spent... I think I watched that movie 3 weeks ago. I have been killing YouTube watching all these Queen performances and just being amazed at how Freddie Mercury is just like so...
Farouk was dynamite.
He really
was dynamite. The Live Aid performance, their final
I've watched that a million times.
Yeah, their final performance at Wembley, their performance at, I forget the name of the theater in London back in 77, where he brought the house down playing a piano. Look, Freddie Mercury was that dynamic of an entertainer. He wasn't just an entertainer. He was a songwriter. He was a great singer. Like I put him up there with rock singers like him and Steve Perry from Journey. Those are the guys on the mountain. But with Freddie Mercury, there was so much of his life that it's a shame he passed, because I would have loved to have seen the authorized by Freddie Mercury story, because I think Brian May and my man, I forget his name, Roger Taylor, painted a picture, like you said, with they painted their picture. They painted a picture with their brushstrokes. Although Rami Malek did a great job, it's just there's so much left out and there's so many liberties taken in making this film that this isn't an actual account of Queen or Freddie Mercury. It's their interpretation through their lenses. It's
a very interesting movie in the sense that from watching it pretty much early on, I got the sense that they could have easily done a Freddie Mercury movie, and just as well as they could have done a Queen movie. And Bohemian Rhapsody tries to do two movies in one. And there's a little compromising, and it works in the sense of like, hey, I want to know more, but it's
here's
just
the thing.
It wouldn't be an interesting Queen movie without focusing on Freddie Mercury.
Well, here's the thing about it. They realize that. They realize that. That's why Freddie is on the poster. Freddie is on he's the movie. Freddie was Queen. I hate to discredit them. I'm not discrediting them, but Freddie was Queen. You didn't tune in to see the Queen performance at Live Aid to see anybody stroke the guitar. You wanted to see Freddie command the crowd to clap in unison during Radio Gaga. That he was it. And so when I watched it, I felt like, okay, these are two guys that were kind of backlash, jealous of him and his legacy that he's left, so they're going to inject themselves and tell a different type of story. They didn't discredit Freddie in many ways, but they kind of glossed over a lot of things, and they kind of demonized his homosexuality. They kind of demonized his lifestyle a little bit, saying, well, if Freddie was this, we would have been better as a band. No, if Freddie was Freddie.
So you watched the movie too?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's one of my must-sees. I told you, that was one of my must.
Oh, okay,
I'm a big Queen fan. Yeah, I'm a big Queen fan, man. I was going to see that. It seemed to me like they were not, I'm not going to say jealous, but it seemed to me as if they wanted to have their slice of that pie by saying, yeah, we were there too. It wasn't just Freddie Mercury.
I definitely got that sense. And I think maybe that was one thing that really stood out, knowing that they were involved in it, that it was, hey, we weren't just the guys in the back. And I've read some stuff because I like I said, I just devoured. I was really fascinated by all these stories. I just kept reading more and more and more and more to get a greater sense of how they were. And from everything that I've read, there was this real sense of, hey, we're Queen. There is no leader of Queen. And some of the others actually did solo albums too. Now, I didn't necessarily, it was weird because I didn't necessarily get the sense that they were demonizing Freddie Mercury, but what you said has been a common complaint that I've read in other reviews. But I took it like he was, I don't know, it was this thing where here's a guy who was around in a time where people weren't embracing that lifestyle. Right. And, you know, like if Queen came out today, he would be the biggest star in the universe. And no one would care. They wouldn't bat an eye. But it was weird because to me back in the 80s, in that early 80s, that whole androgynous thing was kind of like cool, you know, with MTV. Like you had Boy George.
Oh, dude.
So him doing his thing was like whatever. I'm like, yeah, okay, no sweat.
That's the thing about that. Like you said, with Boy George, Flock of Seagulls, Duran Duran, all the Britpop guys look like women for real, and even the hairband guys look like women. But it was still very
Annie Lennox. Yeah, she was like, I'll dress like a dude. Yeah, and it was like, hey, that's cool. I associate that with the 80s and 80s rock. So to me, it was like, whatever.
Crazy? But you know what's crazy about that time, Jeff? Nobody ever addressed sexuality. Androgyny, the lines of masculinity and femininity were blurred across the board, but sexuality was never addressed. Because
you know, what it's funny, because you know that was when I was starting to get old enough to pay attention to music and like my own music as opposed to whatever my parents were playing on the radio. Mm-hmm. I wasn't thinking along the lines of, hey, sexuality or whatever. Like, right. I think my first Vanity and Apollonia introduced me to puberty. But like, wow,
you and millions.
Oh,
you
gosh.
and millions.
Like, what is this strange feeling? But before
that, I'm gonna tell you something. When I saw the Nasty Girl video when I was 4 years old, I was like, yeah, I like girls. Yeah, I like girls. I sealed it.
If I watched the Nasty Girl video right now, I'd be like, I love girls. But oh my gosh, jeez. 2018, that video. I would go on to YouTube. Who's watching this in 2018?
My God.
Yeah, that is serious.
If you put that in the show notes, there would be more views for this whole podcast because it'd be like, yes, replay.
Possible. You know what? I think we're gonna need to come up with a list of videos that triggered your sense of wow. This is amazing. This is the greatest video ever. I've got buttons down and giving him something he can feel.
Oh no, I'm gonna go straight raunch. Come on, Chief, you with me? 2 Live Crew. Come on.
Come Shaker.
No, that's Rex and Effects.
No, I'm saying them too, but yeah.
Okay. 2 Live Crew. Me So Horny. I took an L behind Me So Horny video. I got a butt whipping because of the old jukebox. I ordered that video.
You ordered it, huh? You're one of those dudes who
I ordered that video 11 times.
Oh wow!
Yeah, because for those of y'all who don't remember, the Jukebox Network was like MTV by request. You can call them.
It was way better.
It was way better.
What
you controlled it. You controlled it, and you got to see a lot of videos that you would never see on MTV or MTV Raps, right? So, yeah. So, Me So Horny video came out, and I was like, oh my God, I have to see that video over and over and over again.
I need to see it 10 more times.
There was no recording videos. You're just like, yes.
No, there was recording videos. For some reason, we decided to just keep ordering the stuff. I was a voyeur. I was a jukebox voyeur. I was like, come on, 3, 7, 2. What do you mean 5? You idiot!
Idiot!
Cool.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Anyway, so I'm with you on that. So fellas, Chief, Jace, what do you guys think about music biopics? I'm sorry, we already heard from Chief. Jace, what do you think about music biopics that get a little creative with the history?
I think you have to. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter who you have, like, kind of working as the producer, son. You can't tell. I mean, maybe there are some people you can just tell their story. It's just fleshed out. It's really great. But then there's going to be, like, you have to take a little more Hollywood to it to make it, like, a little jazzy. Like, say if you were making a Puffy biopic, you wouldn't really care that much about, like, right now, but you make up some jazz about, him and his life with Cassie or something. I mean, you do something just kind of like to make this part not a lull, and you're like, okay, well, he's still working with all these groups. He's still working with the artists from the 5. So
Jace, like the Puffy biopic would end with him on a seat at the 5. That's how
something
it
like
ends.
that. Like that.
But it's interesting because these guys who die early, like Freddie Mercury, like Tupac and Big, their stories become legend because you have that. Man, if they were still around today, they would still be doing stuff. I mean, like Prince was still right in his thing where it's like, man, Prince would have been coming up with good stuff, and Michael Jackson would have still been coming up with hits. But those guys dying right at the age where they did, like pre-social media in particular, where every detail and fabric of their life weren't available for consumption. There's that mystery, like, oh man, what would they have done?
But Jeff, I said when people say stupid stuff like if Aaliyah was still around, Beyonce and this person wouldn't be around, and this person wouldn't be around. I'm like,
I will say if Pac and Biggie were around, Jay-Z wouldn't be as big.
No,
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
Because dude,
look, I'm gonna tell you why I feel that way. Because styles are meant to change, tastes are meant to change.
Totally get,
we can say all that.
I feel like he would have always been that guy who would like, yeah, he's good. I feel like he is like how we view Nas now, where Nas had some really good albums back in the day. What's he got now? But yeah.
Well, no, look,
with albums every month.
Hear me when I say this. Nas has been historically after Illmatic, and I'm gonna give you the rundown of producers that worked on Illmatic. Well, no, give me a second. Q-Tip, Pete Rock. Oh, Q-Tip, Pete Rock, DJ Premier, Large Professor. Those were the men at that time who crafted the sound of the East Coast hip hop scene, right? Nas's albums after that have been a hodgepodge of garbage because Nas is trying to stay in the same vein of what everyone else is doing, but Nas has also been known to be a horrible selector of his own production. It's kind of been a garbage heap since. Jay finds a way to stay relevant to whatever's on the radio right now. 444 being the only exception because it was exclusively produced by No ID. The thing about Jay or anybody, right? When Big and Pac were around, we still had Skee-Lo make a big hit. I wish it was a little bit taller. I wish it was things are gonna creep out. People are gonna like what they like. They're gonna like what they like. And what would have happened with Big and Pac, eventually they would have become 30-year-old guys. They're not as cool to the 15-year-old hip hop goer because they like my dad's hip hop. They're my dad's rap.
Yeah,
because
Tupac would be on. He would be doing family movies with Disney now.
Probably.
Like Ice Cube.
Tupac probably would have won an Oscar by now, also. And Big, you never know. But
Big
I know
would be hosting American Idol with next to Jennifer Lopez.
Okay,
who's this?
Honestly, there's a point like Snoop. If say Snoop Dogg died after Doggy Style, but yeah, let's say he dies after Murder Was a Case. We would be talking about
if he died right at that point.
Robbed out one of the greatest hip hop artists. He would have just been doing dynamic thing. He had such a personality. But now, since he's around, he's doing men's wellness commercials.
Snoop is he's got a play. He's doing like a Tyler Perry.
He's working with Martha Stewart.
Yeah, he's got a gospel
he did a gospel album that's really good, by the way.
Yeah, it's like I don't think those two guys knock out Jay at all. I mean, I think Jay-Z actually has. He probably is. He and LL.
I didn't say knock out. I said that he wouldn't be as big if they were still around. That's all.
I don't know about. But that's the thing.
He switched, like Javon says, he switched. He knows how to go with trends and be better than the trend. That's. I think Pac would have said, "I don't need rap anymore. I'm good."
And the thing about and that's the thing about it, as we all have personal preferences where I may like you more than I may like somebody else or what have you. But one thing you can never deny Jay-Z, no matter how you feel about him, is that there's a talent there that keeps him. There's a talent there that translates to anything else. Because for what it's worth, had Pac and Big still been around, Jay-Z would have still been doing his thing. Whether here's the thing about that. It's debatable whether he is Jay-Z today with his career trajectory or he's more like AZ, where I thought AZ was going to be bigger than, let's say, Nas. You know what I mean?
That's all I'm saying, man. That's it. That is the only thing. I think he would have had a little cap if they were still around back when he really made his bones in that void of Pac and Big. That's all.
And that's the thing about it, Jeff. So many came in during that time that we could say that about a lot of folks. But the thing about Jay is that he had more talent than a lot of the folks like I.A.M. Master P.
No, I'm only saying that he was he was the best one. He was like
he was the best of. I definitely feel like
he had it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he ran with it. But I definitely feel like his trajectory would have been different. He would have still been on. I'm just saying that his trajectory possibly would have been different. You know what I mean? He may not have been Jay. He would have been AZ or something. Yeah.
We're 100% there. That's all. All right, let's move on. All right, so Sunday, we had the last episode of Rick Grimes on The Walking Dead. And this show has been the one that's been our most divisive since we've been doing this podcast. And I'm going to let you all talk about it, but I'm going to go first. I really like this episode. I thought if there is a way to smartly get your lead main character out of the show in a respectful way that doesn't piss off all the fans and doesn't make them feel cheated while still allowing for every fan theory to still be available and on the table, this was it. I don't think I would have. I feel like if they had killed Rick off, I may have been on that Rob Stark mentality of, I'm not watching the show anymore. Good, I'm done. This is my jump off point. I'll just wait till Fear the Walking Dead comes. And I didn't need anything else. I just needed some cheat way for him to be written off the show, maybe come back at the series finale. But I think this was the best way to do it. And then to immediately go into a fast forward where it's like, well, we don't need to sit around and waste time seeing how they're grieving Rick for 8 episodes. They've already, quote unquote, moved on. and now they've got to deal with new stuff. And I think that the show, this season in particular, has really kind of tried to get more in line with the comic book, where we've seen Aaron lose his hand so he could get maybe some hook attachment like Rick in the comic, and we see a grown-up Judith rocking a Carl in the comic book outfit minus the hole in her eye. So it looks like we're going to have that set up now in the show, and I don't know, I'm encouraged, I'm excited, and I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen now, because I don't know how these characters have evolved in this time jump. Whereas Michonne Mad, has she been leading Judith along and training her in the use of the katana, and who's emerged as a leader? Has Michonne and Maggie set up this government that they wanted way back in the day? What's Jesus doing? How is Carol in the kingdom with Ezekiel? Like, there's so many questions I have, which I didn't have earlier. I mean, I didn't have it all last season, and I'm excited about The Walking Dead again. Let's see. Chief, have you caught up? Have you watched it yet?
No, I haven't caught up. I just haven't. I look at it, take there on the DVR, and I just can't bring myself to press. I just don't want to be bored for 3 hours.
I can tell you, what is it, 5 episodes now? It has not been boring. There hadn't been those sit around episodes where nothing goes on and it's just like, wow, I just spent 66 minutes and nothing happened. There hasn't been those dumb character showcase episodes. There's been stuff that's advanced every episode.
Well, I'll catch up this week. I'll do it, man. I've been dreading it, like that when you got to get that needle.
No, I don't. It's nothing like that. It's not. It hasn't been dreadful. It hasn't been boring.
Okay, so say it to Shepard.
Good deal.
So I'll check it out.
All right, Jace, what you think?
Okay. I was a little worried when I saw the previews. I'm like, oh wow, they're probably gonna kill off Rick. Have him walking with the herd, and it really would have been like kind of, all right. As this episode goes, so as Rick Grimes goes on the show, I go. The flashbacks were cool. I think like having Shane on there, that was real cool. And Rick very much acknowledging, like, yeah, Judith isn't mine, but I didn't give it. I mean, hey, I thought that was cool, especially for everybody who had that question lingering in their head. Like, Rick is very well aware of that. I thought that was cool, but he still loves his wife's daughter and the good part of Shane. And I like that their interaction was really good. I like the call back the people that brought back. I thought I was hoping for one more. I think me and Javon talked about it. But I'm not, since Chief didn't watch it, I'll keep that one off.
Chief is okay with spoilers. What's the reason?
Well, I wish they would have had Carl, but I guess he's got to work on his band.
So I don't know if you read my review, and I also read an interview with the showrunner's writer, and they actually were I was right along the line of where they were going with that. They didn't put Carl or Lori in there because and from the start of it, he's like, I have to find my family. And if he had encountered them, he was going to be like, all right, mission accomplished. I found my family. I can go die.
And you believe that?
No. Okay. I'll say
no, because when I wrote, I didn't even read it, but what I wrote in mine was that Carl and Lori would have been cool to see, but it was more of a thing of he needed to see what he had done. It was kind of like Rick's Christmas Carol journey. Like, hey, Shane was my pre-Walker life, and this is my buddy, my best friend, and we went through this terrible situation together, and he's dead now. And then Herschel is like hey, Rick, you're a better man than Shane was, and you've got to set these people on the right path, and people will follow you like they followed me on my farm, and you can be the father to more than just your immediate family.
I get all of that, but more than Sasha, who he never had.
Jace,
okay, go ahead.
Go ahead, Jace.
All Okay, thank you for that interlude.
Sorry, Jay.
Yeah, you guys are doing a lot more now. It's annoying. So what I was saying is, I liked how I would have liked to see the flashbacks, but I remember in your review where you were saying like kind of what the kind of progression of each one of these people he was meeting. It wasn't his strict family. It was what he was trying to build, what that was meaning to him. Like, and I was like, okay, that made sense. The end point, like everybody was kind of, we don't know about what's her face, Anne or Jadis, and that was a good way to use her, who was a wild card, to get rid of, to have Rick move on. I think that was a really smart move. Because I know how a lot of times we were all like, I don't care about these damn garbage people, and then it's like, wait a minute, the garbage people in essence are how they get rid of Rick. So I thought that was really smart. That was a good utilization of both the characters. Then I think one of the best in what does truly bring new life to The Walking Dead is the flash forward. It adds what this show has been missing so much is questions. It's I'm actually excited to see next week because I'm like, and it's not because it's going to be Rick Grimes' last episode. It's what has happened. Like now I have a point where I don't know everything. I can't fill in every blank. I have to watch to see how those blanks are filled in. And I think that is one of the things this show is desperately needed. It's just whenever each season you're just like, well, there's little gaps and I got to fill them in. Now we know we got at least 2 or 3 years gap that we need them to fill in. And I think that's a great thing. I mean, and the talk of like, having walkers kind of evolving, it's like, wait a minute, we might not have some slow herd Walking Dead zombies. We might get some Dawn of the Dead zombies, which really, this really could change up things. And I think that is just a great thing for the show. So I think, like I said, I agreed with your assessment, Jeff. I think this is a really good thing for Walking Dead, and I think it's going to get some. I think this could be a point where people who have left could really come back on, like, and they're going to check Rick's last episode out, but then they definitely could come back and be like, okay, let's see what this Walking Dead's about. And I think that's a great thing for it.
Okay, Javon, what you got?
Okay. Again, Jason, sorry that's annoying. Apologies. But honestly, I'm passionate about this show because I'm passionate about very few shows because they got it right the first 4 seasons it was on the air. And like I've always said, this show is one that has buckled under the weight of its own popularity, where certain characters are always safe, and they add characters who are disposable so that they can have the obligatory deaths throughout the course of a season. I don't think that's going to change because for what it's worth, at the end of the episode last week, we got to introduce, 5 new disposable characters to go along with the other maybe dozen or so disposable characters that already exist, right? And the point of Rick's vision quest during his white horse ride through what's left of Alexandria, and don't ask me how they keep finding these country roads in Alexandria, Virginia, but they do. And I understand. Look, I'm nitpicking now, so allow me to do that. But the thing of it is, I didn't have a problem with Shane and Herschel's point. Those were beautiful because those were people who meant something to Rick through his journey through this, right? Sasha, I'm not saying meant nothing to Rick, but he and Sasha never fostered the kind of relationship that, let's say, he and Glenn fostered. Because he watched Glenn get beaten to death in front of his pregnant wife. And Glenn was the first person or second person to save him during the apocalypse, right?
Okay.
So
Hold on, because I got you. I'll let you finish. I'm sorry for pulling it.
All right, Kanye, let me finish, but Beyonce's the greatest video of all time.
Right. So the whole deal with Sasha, and I'm not sure if I wrote this or I read it after, but Sasha represented, because they represented different parts. Glenn, I know all of us were like, man, where's Glenn? Where's Glenn? But Glenn didn't serve a purpose in these moments because Glenn got killed. And Sasha, the whole point of what her deal was she was representing the sacrifice. For the family.
I get it.
But Glenn didn't sacrifice himself. Glenn just got killed.
Well,
and
Jeff,
no one else who really represented that
sacrifice as well. Because Glenn
got offered up as a sacrifice.
Was a sacrifice of Rick's choice to do what he did. He was a sacrifice. He was a sacrificial lamb.
Sasha's sacrifice is different. Sasha is like, I'm going to put myself in line for everybody else. Glenn didn't have a choice.
Yeah, okay, but it was still a sacrifice, and maybe Sasha was just contractually available during that time. Did we ever think about that? I'm not letting them give me the explanation that sounds good.
No, I didn't. No, I'm not basing that off of them. I was like, hey, I think this is what's going on with this. Sasha was the person who bought into Rick's vision for that great utopia down the road, and to make sure that it continued. But to make sure that it continued, she put herself. No, Glenn was just there and if the eeny, meeny, miny, mo had landed on somebody else, they would have been that.
But no, what you're saying is Sasha bought into the vision more so than Glenn. Is kind of what
she was willing. No. I'm saying that she chose to to kill herself, basically.
And it was noble, a very noble choice. But what I'm saying, and what many people are saying in the same token. Yeah, I get it. But what many people are saying, and what I'm saying as well, is that someone who means more to the story and means more to Rick than Sasha. Because although her sacrifice was noble, we never saw them foster the kind of relationship to where if I'm dying, you're one of the faces I see during my quest. And I get it, you can spin that multiple ways, but as a nod to, Glenn should have been a more appropriate choice to me. A more appropriate choice to many. That's all we're saying in that. And I know they're going to spin it the way they are. They're going to spin it how they can. They have to. They have to. But I'm not willing to accept that as just the answer because there's probably something else at foot. Maybe Steven Yeun was committed to another project and couldn't do it at the moment. Maybe. We don't know. Right? So
maybe we'll see Glenn later.
Maybe. And that's another maybe. Okay. Yeah, that's another maybe. But that's a problem we have. There's that. There's the fact that okay, Jadis and the mysterious helicopter people that you've been in communication with, if there's such an emphasis on A's and B's and whether or not she had an A or B was irrelevant to just having a warm or semi-warm body to collect, then what was the whole point of the A or B discussion or requirement? Do we even need it? We never clarified that. Another thing we never clarified was our massive Mexican standoff in the middle of the woods the week before. Yeah, who made it out, who didn't make it? A bunch of randoms that Rick stumbled across when he came to that site, right? So, once again, we got one of these mysterious moments of peril where nothing really materializes from that. Just some random people died. You don't need to care about them. Same thing happened, remember, 2 or 3 seasons ago when they had the season opener, when Rick was stuck in that RV when they went to clear the walkers at the quarry? And we didn't know how Rick was going to make it out of this one, but next week he just comes running down the street like everything's fine. They don't explain certain things. They just leave it to you. Okay, well, that sorted itself out. Don't worry about that. Those are the issues that I have. And it's like, look, if you're going to introduce these moments of peril, don't make them afterthoughts once you jump to the next story. That makes for shit storytelling in my book. In a book of a lot of people who look at it that way. And you can't please everybody, but these are the type of things that kind of round out a story and make a story better when instead of introducing a scenario just for the moment or just for the sake of that episode and you never go back to it again. And it's not like one of these things where we can afford to just bypass it. This was an integral part. How the hell did he make it out of that RV? Or how did Daryl and Carol, who had guns pointed at their heads, make it out of that shootout? How did that happen? We want to know. So when you gloss over it, you really kind of insult us a little bit. And that's been my problem with the show through these last 4 to 5 seasons, is that they've kind of insulted us in those regards and just made us say, well, use your suspense of disbelief. Just go with what we're doing here? And it's like, okay, but you make it hard to go with what you're doing when you've presented more questions than answers. That's what I got.
Okay, so I hear what you're saying on the RV and the thing from the standoff, but I also kind of feel like with Rick, we've seen him do crazy stuff all the time. And I guess for that one, I was like, all right, Rick just did something crazy. Because he's done it so many other times where he just, all right, this is my plan. I'm going to do it. And these walkers are stupid. I can walk over and run over them or something. And I can piece that together because we've seen him do enough of that. The standoff from last week, yeah, that's a good point. We didn't see what happened with them. But, I mean, I didn't necessarily think Carol or Daryl are going to get killed by those saviors.
But you see why? Because they've painted. That's the safety net. You didn't even think for a second that anything bad could happen to them. That's what I'm saying, Jeff. And that's why there's weak points to this show. And although it's gotten better, yeah, of course. I mean,
that's a weak point. That's a weak point.
Of course. But those are the weak points that stand out broader than the strong points of the last 4 episodes or so. They still linger. They still linger. And I'm gonna tell you, and I'm gonna tell you, I got another point for that. Little ass kicker out there in the woods. This isn't a 15-year-old Judith Grimes who's like, let's say, Enid's age when she first got introduced, where I could believe her out there all alone with her little katana blade and using Rick's hand cannon. She's like 8 years old.
She's been trained by Michonne. She's a baby ninja. I'm more willing to go along with her.
Was a Navy SEAL. I didn't know she was a Navy SEAL.
But Michonne was going to make sure that Judith was not going to be chumped out and not be able to defend herself.
Of course. But see, here's the thing about that also. We've seen grown men get overpowered by walkers in this universe, in this show.
But she was at a distance.
Yeah, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is this. We've seen adults, full-grown men, get overpowered by walkers out there on their own. But yet, it's free to let this 8-year-old girl roam free. So, come on. It's like, come on. What? Seriously.
I think that's more of a nod to the comic book because that's how old Carl is. I think still at this phase in the comic where he's like her age. You know, because of real life, our Carl grew up and we see him like, hey, you're the same height as Michonne and Rick now. But in the comic, he's still a little kid.
He's a kid. But they wouldn't let Carl out there on his own like that.
Carl was jumping around and doing whatever.
Yeah, later on, not at that stage, not at that age. And no matter how you try to explain it away, that's still a little girl out there. Nobody was with her. I mean, these are the little things. These are the little things.
Hey, Sophia went out by herself.
Sophia went out by herself and got killed.
Well, she didn't have a gun. Well, we don't know if somebody's like 100 feet away.
We don't. You're right about that. We don't. But I would assume that you wouldn't let him or let her be that far away from you. I would assume.
Okay, but that's just giving you the anticipation. Like if you didn't know that, you wouldn't know that there was a flash forward. Just barely.
Well, I get it. Jace is convenience. It's convenient storytelling. I get it, but it doesn't make total sense because, for what it's worth, we've seen different instances where you wouldn't let anybody who could handle themselves out there alone like that. That privilege is dedicated to Rick, the Carols, the Daryls, the warriors of this thing, right?
Okay. Not a little 2 years to be a warrior.
Okay, so at that point,
she's a little girl.
No. The thing is, at that point, something's changed. Like it's not convenient storytelling. It's literally like, oh, there's something changed. Like remember, there was a point where Morgan and all of them were like training people to like, hey, here's what you got to deal with in the world. Like
and they still died. They still died. A lot of them still died. Here's the thing about that. This is a little girl. No. Listen to what I'm saying. This is a child. A little child, where in this universe you can be a full-grown adult who has experience out there and still get killed. You know the dangers of what's going on. You can't gloss it over with her wearing Carl's hat and holding her daddy's gun like I'm Judith Grimes.
Okay,
still like 4 foot tall. You know what I mean? It's like, where's your adult? Where's your adult?
I guess I'm actually not understanding. It's like in this world where everybody, no matter age, can be killed.
Yeah.
You should say, hey, if you're a kid, you shouldn't be just hiding under somebody's skirt. You better know how to actually kill these dang things that can jump on you and do all this other stuff.
Of
That's
course.
what happened to Sophia.
Of course,
But
that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, so where's the person who was with her? Is she out there by herself? And if so, is she some kind of cyborg now? Because for what it's worth, I seriously doubt Michonne would let her out there on her own after she lost Rick the way she lost him. That's just
Keep
not.
watching, Ron. Keep watching.
It's not good. Come on now, it's just not good thought process to let this little girl out there on her own like that.
That was a teaser, man. We got to wait to see how it plays out.
We got to wait to see how it plays out. But it's like, come on,
trying to put 100% logic on a show where zombies. If logic was 100%, the zombies would have been dead the first winter. Like
Jason, I know what you're saying, but this is what I'm saying to that token. This is a little girl out there on her own with a hand cannon. I mean, come on, man. Nobody said, I'm going to go with Judith. Nobody. She's just out there on her own, kicking ass.
We need to give it. I mean, what we see her for 5 minutes. We need to see how Judith interacts, and if Michonne trusts her to do her thing in less than 5 minutes. So let's see how this dynamic plays out. If Michonne never lets her out of her sight, then that was a mistake. But if the norm is that Judith goes out and does scouting things on her own because Michonne knows she can handle herself better than these other little kids, then
totally. But let's set totally. But that's all I'm saying, guys. Set that up. Set it up because for what it's worth.
But you can't set up that teaser of the fast forward before the big revelation. I mean, it's like, hey, this is Judith. So maybe in these next few episodes we'll see that.
Okay, but at least make her be at least 14, 15 years old, so it's a little believable. At least put me in the moment where I could believe that. I'm not going to believe that this 8-year-old girl is out here popping walkers from a
based off the comic.
All right, since we're basing everything off the comic now, okay.
But I mean, that's what the comic is. The whole deal with Carl was that he was this little kid running around with a gun right next to his daddy.
Yeah, but we haven't based much off. Okay, but we haven't based things like that off the comic. We've taken a
this is a new showrunner, and I think she is like, look, I'm going to take this sucker back to the source material. So that's why we saw Aaron lose his hand. That's why we've got a new Carl stand-in, because they're going to be her version of Carl and Rick.
That's great, but that's great. But like I said, that still doesn't explain away the fact that little Judith is out there on her own, kicking ass, popping walkers. It's like, look, I know you're going to try to explain this away, but this is a little kid out there. We take more care. We take more care with full-grown adults than we do with having little Judith out there on her own. That was like, God damn, really? She's out here by herself? That's all I'm saying. That's all. It's not a comic thing. That's reality. That's a reality.
Carl does that all the time.
In the comic, Carl does that all the time, but this is the show. We've taken a lot of liberties from that in the show in itself, right? Where Carl wouldn't go out there by himself. Carl wouldn't go out there by himself until he was old enough to do so. That's what I'm saying.
Carl went out when Rick was in that fever haze when he had to go find supplies for him.
Rick would have let Carl go out on his own? Then no, because he thought
maybe
he wouldn't.
Michonne had a flu. We'll find out.
Maybe so, but it's still like, really? Why? I mean, that's something. This is what I'm saying. You can't just wash that away with saying, trying to explain
I said, let's wait. Let's give them some time to see what happens.
We'll give them time. Let's see how they explain that. Well, they won't probably, because they'll just fast forward another 3 years.
You're hilarious, dude. All
right, let's for real.
All right, so we've got a couple movies coming out. We got a bunch of stuff, but Netflix is getting its Christmas movie season underway. And fellas, I watched the holiday calendar last night. This featured Cat Graham and a guy I knew had to be Albie Shore's son the moment I saw him on camera. I am scared and nervous that I'm now living in a world where Albie Shore's son is starring in Netflix movies. But he is. And he is just as good an actor as his daddy. So, this one...
movie.
What? It's one of those. You know how like I feel like trashing Christmas movies is an exercise in futility because they're supposed to be a certain level of cheesiness, corniness. Everything needs to literally get wrapped up nice and tight with a bow by the end of it. This one, it was so lazy. Like she gets a advent calendar from her grandfather, who is played by Ron Cephas Jones, our boy from Luke Cage, and every day this magic calendar opens up at midnight, and she gets something like a wreath, a Christmas tree, or a snowman, and she immediately attributes it to something that happens in her life or that day. And for some reason, she thinks it's magic. But I'm like, clearly the thing is on a timer. Why don't you just change the timer if you want to open up and see everything? But anyway, she decides it's magic, and she opens it up and gets things every day. And then she starts falling for this guy. And because the movie is only like 95 minutes, they have to break them up quickly and get her back with Albie Shore's son, Quincy Brown, named after his godfather, Quincy Jones. Here's another thing that's of interest. Quincy Brown, Albie Shore's son, was raised by Puffy and Kim Porter. So very interesting. Anyhow, so this movie was not interesting, and it was a bad Netflix Christmas movie. Have you guys seen a recent Christmas movie that you enjoyed? Chief,
No.
I haven't heard from you in a second. What do you got?
A recent Christmas movie? No, I can't even think of a recent Christmas movie. I mean, I remember the last Christmas movie I think I watched was with Danny Glover and that the black, the Black Family Christmas movie.
Oh.
I can't even think of the name of it.
This Christmas?
I remember Carrie Hilson.
No, this Christmas is good. No, I know which one you're talking about. I just watched that too. I'm trying to remember.
Monique?
That though. Yes, I know exactly. Yeah, Carrie Hilson was in it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, Carrie Hilson was. Yes, sir.
She was. Yes. She absolutely was.
I don't remember the name of it.
I'm looking it up right now,
That's
man.
the
Almost
last Christmas movie I think Almost Christmas.
Yeah.
So
Almost Christmas.
I'm not saying that it was watchable. And so it, but I don't, Christmas movies, man. I'm not really a feel good Christmas guy. And I can, like, the last Christmas movie, like you said, a recent one, but I think a Christmas movie that I could probably watch all the time, besides A Christmas Story, like a grown, for the grown-ups, maybe Love Actually. But I don't know. Some of Christmas movies, I don't know. They're kind of cheesy to a degree, and they're all kind of the same. Families get together. There's a problem. They work it out. Everybody has, everybody settles down to Christmas. Yeah, that's the MO there. You know what I mean? So, is there a Christmas movie coming out?
Oh, the deal with Netflix and Hallmark is they're going to unleash an onslaught of new Christmas movies between now and pretty much Christmas. And Netflix has some ones that I would love you guys to watch so we can talk about them and break them down and decide which one is the superior Christmas film. I think that would make for an interesting and fun episode on this podcast. But they're going to keep rolling them out. And so, yeah, it's not like these are going to be in theaters, but more on the small screen. So, Jace, how about you?
I cannot name a Christmas movie that I really liked, but there comes a reason for some of that. Is like, you know how like on in our house, like we might be here like having like Sunday breakfast, and especially during the holidays, we'll just have on Hallmark. I mean, a lot of times, especially when football becomes unbearable, Our teams are all out of the playoffs, and we'll just let a holiday movie go. And they are kind of like, they do have that generic cheesiness to them. Everything will work out, but it's kind of, there's nothing wrong with that. It's kind of, you don't want to be depressed. You don't want to go to watch the Hallmark murder mystery on Christmas. You're like, you know what? I just want to actually feel good. It's kind of the enjoyment of the Christmas season, not the holiday season. Yeah, there's my non-PC. So I don't think I've seen any that are completely unwatchable. Because you can, the good thing about Christmas movies, you can tell by just the description, like, this is probably too stupid to watch. And if long as it isn't there, you're okay. Like, when Netflix unleashes their real string of Christmas movies, I think most people will just be like, hey, go to next. Yeah, it's okay. Let's keep it going. And I think that's what I don't know of any new ones that I really have liked. I think this Christmas was probably the one with Chris Brown was the last one I really liked. Actually own that one. But I think the rest of them are kind of just like, hey, just put them on, I'll watch it. I mean, and I'm okay with that.
All right, Javon, how about you?
The last Christmas movies that I enjoyed, God, were... Damn. I really can't say. This Christmas was alright. It was alright, you know. It's just, and what was it, Office Christmas Party? I really tried to like that, but it was dumb and it wasn't funny.
Dude, it really should have been better, because I feel like
it really should have been better.
Like, that's one where I looked at the Best Buy Black Friday preview, and it's gonna be on sale for $5. I'm like,
you're not gonna buy it. You're not gonna buy it. Don't even do that, Jeff.
Like, man, no, I'm not even like. I feel like $5 is still too much.
The funny thing is, it's probably too much because we saw it, and you're just like, with this cast, like the dude, the main son, that dude is hilarious. Like,
man. He's funny, but overall, Jason, come on, how do you feel about it? You know that movie ain't funny.
No, I mean we
it's not good enough.
And it was just like, there's some parts I laughed at, but it was just like, with that cast, I'm thinking this should be, once we hit the Christmas party thing.
It should be off the chain.
Once we get to the title of this movie, it should be really.
It should be nuts. It should be nuts. But like, you're left feeling kind of. You're like, okay.
Like,
okay.
Yeah. What's my man? Is that Courtney B. Vance?
Yeah.
Was Kristen Wiig in that one?
No, that was what's her name?
Olivia Munn.
Olivia Munn, and what's my girl? Kate McKinnon.
Right.
McKinnon.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Kate McKinnon was hilarious in that. But
well, Jace, it seems like she was playing a subdued role, but I felt like they should have focused more on her. Like, even though she was playing a tightly wound character, they should have focused on her doing some kind of weird drug or getting drunk and lunching out. To me, that's what should have happened. But instead, it's like they focus on Courtney B. Vance, and we never got, it just, I don't know. I just was left feeling cold about that movie. That was like one of the last Christmas movies that I watched that I wanted to be good, and I was like, okay, this just left me cold. Honestly, the last Christmas movies that came out that I actually enjoyed were Scrooged, Home Alone. And we talk about nearly 30 years for Scrooge.
So far back.
Yeah, I am, because there hasn't been anything that good since, really.
It was the best I watched. Christmas. Yeah. I watched this Christmas on rotation every Christmas. I like that one. And it's nice to see black family be the focus, and it's no coonery. It's just funny. And I like that one. Yeah. Almost Christmas is good enough. I mean, it gets the job done. But this Christmas, I always watch.
It's every
year, good stuff. And that cast is crazy. Like, there is no weak link on that cast. They've got Idris Elba, Loretta Devine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is.
Delroy Lindo too.
Right. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, It's good. You know, it's decent. It's just a height to me though. I I
Hey
don't
man,
know,
I'm
man.
not convincing you. And I also
No,
watched
don't
Love
try.
Actually.
Don't try. I know you're not convincing me. It's just for my own personal preference. I like Trading Places. That's a Christmas movie to me.
Yeah, and Die
Yeah.
Hard.
Yeah, and Die Hard. Die Hard is one of my favorite Christmas movies of all time. Even though nobody regards it as a Christmas movie, I do. You
Half
know,
of my
Die Hard,
Christmas movie.
Scrooge. Yeah, it is. Yeah,
Right. All right.
Scrooge,
Well,
National Lampoons. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. So because we did not get this in earlier, I wanted to take 10 minutes, if that, talking about what's going on in the world of sports because we talk about everything else and then we always have sports stuff that we like to talk about. I'm gonna go first. Um, I'm looking forward to Monday night. My 49ers of New York.
The toilet bowl.
Hey, no man, that was last Thursday. We were playing
Yeah,
the
you're right.
1-6 Raiders
You're
and
right.
destroyed them. So I'm feeling pretty confident, pretty good about
I
my
got I
team.
got a question for y'all about that, but I'm sorry,
We
Jeff.
got our third string quarterback in there who's going to be taking on the vaunted Giants defense and Eli Manning Monday night, prime time. So the whole world will be watching, for those who are at least invested in the Giants and the 49ers. Chief, what do you think about this game, man?
Sí, señor. Hola, papito. Langino went to the store.
Hola.
I am Papi.
¿Cómo está? Muy bien. También.
Because let me be honest, man. I don't want to talk sports.
Come on, Chief. Don't be that way.
I don't want. Listen. I'm not gonna deal with you. All right.
You know I'm the instigator. Come on, man.
Listen, man.
Saquon's good.
The Giants are having a
good.
horrible season, man. And you know, I'm glad Jeff is happy and he's smiling. And the San Francisco 49ers, even though they're having a torrid season, he can take time to laugh at my team, who's having an even worse season. And I don't know what this vaunted Giants defense he's talking about. But you know what, Jeff? Good luck to you in the contest. You know. Actually, I don't mind if you win. I'm looking for that number one pick. Anyway, I'm hoping the Giants go ahead and wrap up that number one pick out. That Nick Bosa.
You know
y'all don't need a defense to do. Y'all need somebody to throw the ball or an offensive lineman.
Listen, you know what's funny about that whole thing? They fired. What's my man's name? The Giants coach last year that they fired. What's his name, Chief?
McAdoo.
McAdoo. They fired Ben McAdoo and a GM for trying to do basically what they're going to end up having to do anyway in this offseason.
Well, the way they went about it, I think got them fired.
Okay, Jeff.
You do. I think they went about it wrong.
They did.
As far as. And then if you were going to bench him,
should have been earlier.
Well, not only that, but you should have put the rookie in. So you benched him and then put in what's the black guy's name?
Geno Smith.
Geno Smith.
Yeah.
You put in Geno Smith instead of. So you weren't benching him to try out new talent. We already knew we had Geno Smith. Right. You weren't benching him for the future. You benched him for
the garbage salad.
Reject. Right.
Yeah, garbage salad.
For the Jets reject. And you know, Gino, if you ever listen, I'm not saying you're garbage. I'm just saying that the Jets rejected you. You came to the Giants. If they were gonna do something, they should have put in Webb. They should have put in Webb. I don't understand why they didn't. So on and so forth. That's what happened. But with the Giants are they're in year one or year zero of a 2 to 3 year rebuild. Mm-hmm. I mean, they have to come across. They've got to build the offensive line. They've got to build the linebackers. They've got to build some corners. Till that is done, and then they've got to get a quarterback. And I'm not saying they've got to draft one. I think what the Giants will end up doing next year is drafting Nick Bosa, and then we'll pick up a mobile quarterback on the free agent market. Just somebody to get us through. Because
one who's gone to a Super Bowl who's still available.
Who?
Oh, Kaepernick.
What? Who?
Oh, Cap. Who? You? No, Derek Anderson did the job before Kaepernick. He was better.
Yo, dude, I remember when Derek Anderson had his team almost about to win the Super Bowl. I remember that.
Yikes! I remember that too. Yeah.
If you had a chance to get Kaepernick or Josh McNown or Jay Cutler, you go with
Well, what the hell? What the hell, Jeff George?
You mean you got options?
Yeah. Wow.
Hey, did y'all happen to watch that thrashing on Thursday night where the Steelers laced up the Panthers?
Yeah.
All right, did y'all see that hit by Eric Reed on the no means no Roethlisberger?
Yeah.
Was that a penalty?
No, it wasn't
a penalty. Man,
it wasn't.
I'm like, Roethlisberger slid 0.2 seconds before Reed came at him. What is Reed supposed to do?
And he didn't target him at the helmet. He tried to make a football play. He tried to make a football play. Jeff, we talked about this before. When we talked about this with the NBA. I can't watch the NBA, and I'm not segueing, but I'm just saying this because it's a layup drill now, right?
Oh, yeah.
With the NFL, like remember a few Sundays ago when my man from the Chiefs, the young linebacker, went to sack Brady, but he relented.
He pulled up because he didn't want to get a penalty.
It was the greatest player ever.
Collinsworth is like, oh, the GOAT made someone miss. And like, no,
didn't.
dude, he didn't. The dude had him and was like, well, I'm not trying to cost the team a penalty or possibly get ejected because it is bogus refereeing.
I mean, here's the thing on that play, Jeff. It's like the only way to tackle him based on the speed he was to throw him down, and if he gets that, it's a 1st and goal at the 1 yard line. So it's like, okay, maybe I don't do that, and I have to let him go. Oh wait, he slides in. Oh well. It's like, what do you like? What was it? The Clay Matthews hit on who was it? Gosh, Clay Matthews had 2 of them in the beginning of the season. You're just like,
was one Matt, not Matt Ryan? What's his name?
One was on Kirk Cousins, and the other one was on
Stafford.
Cousins, and then the other one on the Redskins.
It was on Stafford. Well, there was one on Stafford too, because he had Stafford dead to rights, but he had to relent, which honestly led to somebody else getting him. But because of the new rules, he had Stafford dead to rights, and he had to basically try to grab at him instead of laying him, basically planting him like a seed.
Yeah, I mean,
so they took away a real sack.
I think going a couple of years ago, like we were watching this game with it was the Niners when they were good against the Saints, and I think it was Alvin Smith basically because
it was Ahmad Brooks. I'm sorry.
Oh,
it was Ahmad Brooks. Yeah.
That stupid penalty cost us the NFC Championship.
It did.
That win would have given us home field advantage over Seattle, and that was the only game. So we had to go on the road against the Packers and Carolina and Seattle. And the only reason we didn't beat Seattle was because we had to go up there and the refs were on the freaking take.
Dude, Jeff, no, they weren't on the take. They were being paid well. That was an embarrassment.
Oh, God. Like, there's so many things. No, because I lose my mind talking about that game because I would have thrown so much stuff at the TV if I was at my home.
You know what that reminded me of? It reminded me of Game 6, the Kings versus the Lakers.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking
about.
You should have never mentioned that. But I mean, here's the thing is, like, the NFL, anybody who really likes, like, we're not the oldest people in the world, but we appreciated defenses. We didn't like the 6-9 games, but the 30-9s needed to be, I mean, like the 30s and 35s, 27s used to be rarities that you really were intrigued and you really appreciated having. And those used to have to be the really good offensive teams. Those would have to be the Saints versus a Tom Brady team. Those were the only games you got like that. You didn't get those Carolina versus Pittsburgh. It's like, I mean, it's just like you seeing stuff like that. It's just like, So I can't let this dude who runs a 4.2. I just have to let him get a track start and go. And then if he jumps in the air, I can't have any contact until he comes down with the ball.
Right.
It's gonna work out perfect.
Jace, you remember Defensive Superstars? Remember that?
I'm sorry, what? I mean, you think about even like Deion Sanders, who was not he
wouldn't exist in this league.
Corner. He's still, he's like as fast as he is. He in this NFL, I think he'd be like, "What the hell do you want me to do? I can't play."
He'd be a returns guy. He'd be a returns guy. He'd be a special teams guy.
And as I said, like I always say, Richard Sherman would have been great in the early '90s football because he actually could play defense like they did. He held them, did everything.
Oh yeah.
But now it's just like,
Chancellor.
Oh, you got to let him run unimpeded 5 yards. He's faster than me. Why am I going to let him have an advantage? For our ratings.
Dude, you think the what the NFL has done now to defense is pale in comparison to what the NBA has done to defense.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you want to segue, that was funny.
Ooh, you can't watch Pistons videos and not appreciate their style of defense and then think of how they would fit in today's NBA.
Jeff, they couldn't play in today's NBA. Jeff,
they wouldn't be able to have enough people to play. They'd be all suspended.
Jeff, somebody like Ben Wallace couldn't play in today's NBA. Sean Marion couldn't play in today's NBA. They wouldn't be. Ron Artest couldn't play in today's NBA. Seriously.
What about Meta World Peace?
Meta World Peace? You mean Ron? But no, honestly,
I was literally at the gym. Was it like Wednesday? And there was a guy. He was like right in the dude, like he was, he had the ball. He was right in the dude's face playing defense, and it was ball? Just like, huh?
Did the dude call ball?
No, because it's like you don't play. Even playground ball is ref better than current NBA. It's like, hey, you got to give him space to dribble. Why? So he can't score. My job is to make sure he doesn't score. It isn't to make him put up a shot and see if he misses. My job is to stop him from scoring. I'm going to make it so he can't get a lane to dribble the ball. I'm going to make it so he can't get around me. That is what my whole point is. Like, but today's NBA game is now refereed like the All-Star game, which I don't know if you guys watched any of the last 5. It's been atrocious.
No. Jace, you remember about now 18 years ago, we were down at the what do you call it? The River Terrace playground there, the playground that nobody uses anymore.
Yeah.
And we were playing basketball against these guys, right? Remember that?
Yep.
And the guy kept calling ball on you. He was acting like he was getting mad. And I was like, do something, right? You remember that? You know why he got... Dude, it was because he was a young kid, but this kid's probably like 33 now, 32 now. They were the start of it, dude. Indoor gym basketball players who don't remember what it was like. Like when we were coming up, you had to play with the old heads in order to be able to play. So that means you had to be tough.
Yeah.
You had to be tough. Because defense was being played. These kids don't want nobody to touch them. Like I was talking to somebody at work, man, and he's a big Golden State fan, and I was like, no, dude, don't talk me to death about Golden State, number one, and don't talk me to death about Steph Curry. I like Steph Curry, but he's a product of today's NBA because 20 years ago, 30 years ago, he'd been his dad. He'd be his dad.
Listen, the thing is, Steph's range is
limitless, but so was his father's.
But the truth is, he wouldn't have got some of those shots because
not at all.
Those guys would have moved through those screens like, get out of my way. They're going to the basket like these guys do now is just like, nah. Like Allen Iverson went to the basket because he was tough. Mm-hmm. These guys go to the basket because they're quick.
Dude, guys like AI, Kevin Johnson, expected to be put on their ass when they went to the rim because, not for nothing, I'm 5'11", 6 foot to 6'1". I'm not gonna have an easy route to the cup. somebody's gonna hit me, and I'm gonna be sent into I'm gonna be sent to the camera, the photographers, right? But I go hard. This is what I do. Like, I'll never forget watching AI take an elbow from Shaq in the finals. Watch his tooth. His tooth came out. What did he do? He picked up his tooth and put it in his sock and sucked the blood to the next time out, which was about 4 minutes later, because he didn't want to come out of the game. Right? That's a toughness that's not bred in no AAU gym. That's bred on the playground. This is what is missing.
I mean, like, and I think there's the participation, and this is us now being old. The participation trophies of the world. So these guys don't have to play, like, they don't have to really excel, like, and this is where us older folks get on LeBron James. Like, we think that dude, if you can't see he's one of the most talented basketball players ever, you're missing something.
Oh.
We get on him is if Jordan had that opportunity, like after the Pistons were beating the hell out of him, he decided, you know what? I don't need all this. I'm going to go play with Magic Johnson.
Right.
We thought he was the biggest sucker in the world.
Hey, Jordan's trajectory would have looked a lot different, right?
Yeah, we would say, yeah, he's good, but whatever.
Yeah, he dope, but he a sucker.
Yeah,
and you know what I hate about it? The way people hide behind, oh, he's a free agent. He had the right to do whatever he wanted to do. Nobody's taking that away from Kevin Durant. Nobody's taking that away from insert player here, right? Nobody's taking that away from, yes, he's a free agent. He had the right to sign whatever he wanted. Thank you. Yep. And the list goes on, right, Jace? But the thing is, we come from an era where in order to establish yourself as one of the kings, you had to take on the role of being the king. I have to go out here and lead. And I'm not going to take on the mentality of if I can't beat him, join him, because I want to beat him. I want to beat him. And then I'm going to tell you something else about KD, and I'm going to stand on my soapbox for this one, so bear with me. Y'all know how I am. But the thing about it is this. This is Stephen A. talking right now. No, what it is, KD tried to defend himself and his decision that whole first year in Golden State by being super defensive about whenever he was asked about it, saying, well, such and such and such and such, I'm a free agent. There's no loyalty in the NBA, blah, 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 blah. And then he had to create an account to troll his former team and teammates about his new success with his new team, right? The thing is, you do all of that when you know you a sucker at your core. Because if I stood on my own as a man, look here, look, you can blame Russell Westbrook all you want, but Kevin Durant was out there too losing them games that they had Golden State up 3-1. He was there losing them games too to let them come back and beat them.
He had the ability to say, Russell, don't take another shot.
Jace, you called it.
I mean, there was nothing. It's like, and we grown up. We argue with our friends. We don't have any problem saying, "Hey, you're wrong. You're doing too much." And if we got to come to blows for 5 seconds on it, that's what just has to happen. We're not gonna. You get over it. You get mad at each other. All right, we're done. Right? Okay. Yeah, okay. Was I wrong?
You know what always happens? You was right. I'll tell you later on when ain't nobody around. I'll tell you was right, but I know you was right. You know what I mean? Yeah. You done that? Hey, you was right. I'm being a dickhead right now, but you know you was right. At the end of the day, you was right.
Like,
and that's how you established it.
Do that. It's like there should have been the coach Scott Brooks is like, hey Russell, you put up another shot, you ain't playing in Game 7. Like unless you are wide open to basket.
Hey, that's why
you are not going to be outduel Steph Curry when he's hot. You were cold. Stop it. Like, one-on-one, we do what we need to.
That's why Scott Brooks is coaching a terrible Wizards team right now.
All right, fellas. Let's wind this bad boy down. Any contenders to go after the champ?
Oh wow.
Chief, you got anybody?
The champ this week. I think it's going to be your illustrious number 45, man. I don't know. Was he the champ last week? I don't know. He's the champ early and often.
Kanye is the champ.
Kanye is reigning.
Okay, Kanye is the champ. Yeah. This week, I'm trying. Like, there's so much he did. There was the reporter thing.
Yeah.
There was the vote. I mean, this dude is already. You don't even know what happened. You're already telling the American people that there's the Michelle Obama thing.
Yep.
There's even the wildfire response. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Chief, take your
like, he's not even. He's like, yeah, y'all better do something about the fires, or you're not getting government funding.
Well, let's go yell at the fire real quick.
Wait a minute. Please tell me that didn't happen.
You said who?
That didn't happen, did it?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
He said we give billions to the forest department or whoever, parks department. He said, I'm going to cut that funding if you don't stop these fires.
Okay, so, God, I'm gonna need you to calm these fires down.
Yeah, or hey, reckless campers. This guy, man. He's good at what he does, man. It's amazing to me, and the funny part is, like, I'm not in a, when I get on people, whatever, it's not for me. I'm not against, like, I can sit down with a Republican and like some of their policies. You know what I mean? And even I'll say about 45, I'll say I don't disagree with all of his policies. Just like I didn't agree with all of Obama's policies. Dig it. But the thing about this dude is this: the way he carries himself. Like, he carries himself like a clown. Like, he's a clown dude in the most quote unquote prestigious position a U.S. official can have. Like this clown represents us to the world. You know what I mean? It's and when people see him, they see the U.S. It's almost like when I used to go to customers' houses, and they didn't see, I represented my company. I had nothing to do with whatever problems you were experiencing, but you were mad at the company. I came to the door, you were mad at me. And that's how people kind of see, this fool here. So, and I don't understand how someone so wrong with everything. Like, there's no, in a world where people lose their jobs for almost any and everything, how the guy with the top job in the country keeps going on in his disrespectful manner, but doesn't lose it. Like, your job should be the most easiest of all to lose because you represent so many. Like, putting a boob in the White House. I'm every week I'm so mind boggled by the things he can get away with. I can't even imagine just going to my job, lying to all the people there, saying whatever I wanted in front of whoever I wanted, and then the next day they're welcoming me back. Hey man, it's him again. Everybody to the gate. I just don't see it. There's he's got no coup. It just keeps going on. I mean, this thing keeps going on, and I don't know. I don't know how that happened. I don't know how You know, I mean, didn't he say he was a nationalist at one point? I just don't. I don't understand it. I mean, how do you? You know what? I don't understand why the press keeps showing up. If I was from the press, if I was someone who owned one of these companies, I say, well, you know what? Let Fox get the coverage of them. Let only Fox report the president. And then I bet you he would beg for people to come into that White House, the press room. If only one channel was, when he walked in, there was only one station there. Fox and Breitbart. You know what I mean?
Yeah. His ego couldn't handle it.
Right. So I don't know why they keep coming back. Like, stop giving this dude power. Stop going. Stop giving this dude power. And why don't y'all just say, look, we're not going to go. We're not going to go. And let him, like, you know what I mean? And I get it. He's the president, but he's not really the president. Nobody with, like nobody with power in a same frame of mind handles the power like this. Like, no one. Like, this is the wildest thing I've ever seen up until this point with I mean, was America that messed up? Were we that far? Like, was it this much hidden? Were we just a bunch of just fools running around yelling America? Is that it? Is that all we offer? Is this our best right here? Is this it? This, as a white person, this is your representative? This is what you want the world to think that American whites are like? Bigoted, liars, who I don't know how he does it. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how he does it. I don't know how you go to work every day with a lie, with a story, with just all this insane things that you got going around you, and no facts. I mean, a precedent of no facts. You have people, you don't even have to look at the facts yourself. You've got people to do that. You've always had people to do that. You've been in money your whole life. You don't have to do the research yourself on anything or any time in your lifetime. And you continuously give the false statement, the false whatever. Like, as a citizen, you can lie all you want. It doesn't even matter. As a president, coming with no facts, just your personal opinion. Hey. So that's my guy. He's Kanye had the top spot for what, 2-3 weeks now? But my man was always in the shadows, like peeking over Kanye's shoulder. And now he's just stepped back in front of him again. He's just like, yo, I'm here. Take me for what I am. This is me. I'm coming back for that spot. You know, Kanye, you're fired. Welcome back, number 45.
All right, Jace, who you got?
I'm sorry, folks. We're doing it. We're going to call it an election, and that's why we're going to go slightly politics. I'm going to not go on 45. I'm going to go with our acting attorney general. Yes, this is the same dude who basically said, hey, you know what? Tells everybody, hey, seeing him, I'm actually going to fly myself out here just to get a job at this dude. But, you know, I'd like a nice job back in Iowa, so nobody really pays that much attention to me. And then, unfortunately, he becomes acting attorney general, where everybody figures out that he was just sued by the DOJ, basically, for coming up with some questionable businesses, and basically might has a higher chance of either getting, if he takes the job and really does it, getting disbarred and never being a lawyer, or just going to jail. So I'm actually going to give it to our acting attorney general. I don't know his name, but he might not be around until next week. So that's about all I'm going to go with.
Javon.
Wow. There's several worthy candidates. 45 is always in the mix, and Chief made the outstanding case for him to not just usurp Kanye, but to be permanent, at least until his time is up. But this is what you get when you not only don't vote, when you leave voting up to people who don't know what the hell is at stake when they vote. The voters of Georgia, the Georgia governor, God, I cannot think of my man's name right now. God. Well, this is the same guy who he desperately tried to keep a black woman from usurping him. So with that said, they and this is another issue I have. When the governor's office, so the office of the governor controls the voting regulations, expect there to be some hooey. So there was some hooey there, right? It goes without saying. Fox News for the whole Tucker Carlson Michigas this week. This is what happens when you stoke the flames of fear politics, racism politics. You prey on the stupid by feeding them agendas and fear, as opposed to forming the people.
There's a caravan coming.
There's a caravan coming
Tuesday.
There's a caravan coming. Yeah, it goes without saying that we can't afford these things. I can't say it enough every time we get on here, man. There's so much at stake. There's so much at stake. We can ill afford to play party politics, to play racial politics. We're at a stage, a critical stage, man, where the opposition is coming from within and outside. It's all around you. It's all around us at this point. And this isn't about black or white America. This is about America as a whole. And to the Republican Party, and I have a few friends who are Republicans, and as we always get into that fundamental debate where it's party over country, the wounds have to start being healed now, and it's both sides, but mostly the Republicans, because the Republican Party has really exercised party over country politics over the last 25 years or so. It's been painfully, at least in my lifetime, I'm only speaking for my lifetime, the last 25 years or so, it's been painfully obvious where this is what you get when you play that kind of when you toe that kind of line. This is what happens. You get Donald Trump as your president. You get Sarah Huckabee Sanders as your press secretary. You get the kind of vermin that he said and so-called claimed he was going to eliminate from the swamp of so-called Washington. You just brought more rodents with you, even more despicable than were already here. And you brought the more despicable nature out of the ones that were already here because they just had to play party politics. This is what happens. And I'm not saying the Democrats would be any better, because at this stage, I don't want to believe in a party. I want to believe in a person. I want to believe in people who have the best interests of the people at hand. This is what it's about. It's not about my party versus your party. It's not about me stoking fear. It's not about me catering to your racist undertones. It's not about me speaking to your racial connotations. It's not about me speaking to your hatred. It's about me speaking to what's best for the country, because at this stage, where we are right now in 2018, we can't afford any of that anymore, folks. We just can't. We can't. And I'm not just speaking from the point of view of a person who's unaffected by race or political affiliation. I'm speaking from a person of this country, a person of the world, man. It's altruism at its best, but we need to come together, man. We don't know where we're going anymore. We don't know where we're headed anymore. It's a scary state, especially when you have people that you're responsible for and you have to kind of guide them along this maze. It's scary. It's scary. The last thing that we need is to make this even scarier of a journey, because for what it's worth, our time will come and go. We have to leave this place better for the ones who come after us, and we are not doing that. We're making it worse. We really are. And a midterm election wasn't going to change anything. It was a start. It was a precipice, but it's not what's going to change overall. We have to change, because it's to that point where it's getting really frightening. It's getting really frightening. We have to change. If we don't do it for ourselves, If we don't do it for each other, we have to do it for those who will come behind us, because they have to take care of us. We're not gonna be the ones whose opinions matter 20 years from now. We're not. We're shaping what the next 20 years will look like, and we're doing a piss poor job of it. So if I had to pick a dummy of the week, man, there's so many to lump in. I'm just going to say all of us. We got to do better. We just got to do better as a whole.
All right. Well, fellas, that'll do it for this episode. Next week, we're definitely going to talk about more Christmas movies and a few other things that I will send your way soon. Everybody out there, thank y'all for listening. This episode of Lyles Movie Files has been filed.